Lucy from Paddock Speedshop.
Yes.
Just spoke to Ethan and Harvey.
Yes.
It's taking off, isn't it? It's massive.
Yes, it's very, very suddenly, it's gone from like, you know, we're doing a bit of it, it's just gone, and it's like, but it's good, it's all good, it's all positive, we're getting a lot of support off everybody. We've got massive support off Motul, obviously. I don't know what we'd have done without Motul, to be honest, because every single lubricant we've used, all the sprays, all the, like, you know, your easy lube, the parts washer. Don't even get me started on the parts washer, because Ethan's cooking. He loves to cook. What he doesn't love to do is clean. And the amount of times I've put a frying pan in the parts washer and just gone, and it's done. I probably shouldn't, but it works. It helps me. So yeah, it's really, really going well.
So the bio refuel is a product that you're going to take on board?
Yeah, most likely. We're open to try anything that's trying to push the classic industry and get it. And you know, we'll try anything. If we don't like it, we don't like it. But chances are, by the sounds of it, we're going to like it.
And of course, I've just discussed about the Paddock Speedshop with Harvey and Ethan. What I want to talk to you about really is yourself. It's quite an amazing journey. I met you last year at this event.
Yes.
You've come so far forward in that year. I've just spoken to Ethan about that. Tell us about, firstly, obviously, there's a backstory as how you got in the industry and how you got together with the two lads. But tell us that and tell us about the last year, because I think there's two stories. I think there's one how you got into it, and I think there's the last year, isn't there? So we'll start with that. Start from the start about the passion.
So how I got into it, pretty much. So since my dad's a mechanic. My dad was a massive Ford technician, mechanic, everything. My saying used to be, if my dad can't fix your car's buggered. That used to be what I would say, and I will always stick by that. And I always loved it. I remember being sort of 10, 11, and my dad would, with my brother and a few various members of sort of like, not family, but family, would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they'd all go and have a cup of tea and they'd go marshalling at a rally. Just with the Quinton Motor Club, it wasn't like a humongous event. And I always really wanted to go and really used to hate the fact that I couldn't go because I was too young. And I remember as soon as I was old enough to be with the marshals, I was allowed to go. And the first time I went, my dad made my mum come with us because my dad thought, you know, you're going to get bored. It's a long, long day. You know, you can't, if you want to go to the toilet, you've got to go and squat in the water splash. And, you know, it was something that my dad thought that I just wouldn't enjoy. So mum came with us. Now, my mum is not into motorsport at all. My mum's a quilter. She likes her crafting and her sewing and stuff. And I went and stood with my dad at the Marshall point, and the first car that came past me was a bright yellow Metro 6R4, and the driver's name was Tom Morris. I've never met the bloke, but I would absolutely love to, because that car, it was like a bug. I saw it, I heard it start, and I remember the moment so vividly. I just couldn't wait to see this car go past me so close and just watch it race. And I'd never done that before. It's not something I'd ever seen. And I remember...
There's the camera giving an appeal to Tom Morris.
Yeah, hopefully. But like the first barrier that I had to run into the track and pick up because somebody had knocked it over, it was, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And ever since then, we were going, it was only once a year, we would go into the Hariba de-Isis rally, it was called. We'd go every year, and it was the highlight of my year. I used to wait for April because I knew that the middle of April, I was going to go to Myra and I was going to go and marshal this rally with my dad and go and get to be involved in cars. And I remember the one year I ended up helping somebody through a friend of a friend in the paddock, and he had a Darien, and he let me fill the fuel up on the Darien partway through his races, and it was like, I love this. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. I'd love to do this, but education, I'll just say it wasn't for me. It's not something I pushed. I didn't go to university. I didn't finish college. And I ended up in a retail job. I was a supervisor at a camping store, and I then got asked to take over our bikes department because our bike tech was leaving. Somebody needed to go and do the course and figure out how to build and fix the bikes that were coming into our shop. So I went and did that course. And it was really the first slightly mechanical tool use that I'd ever done. And the first couple of weeks, I hated it because I was just stressed and didn't know what I was doing and felt so unconfident with it all. But then after the initial couple of weeks, and customers that were coming in were helping me, customers would go, well, actually, this is how you need to do the tubeless tyres. This is what you do, this is what you do. And I started to really love it. And it was in that shop that I met Craig. Craig came in looking for a pair of waterproof trousers. I can't remember where he was going because it was a good few years back now. And I said to him, oh, well, I'll tell you what, I'll show you the trousers that I wear when I go rally marshalling because they're brilliant. I've always got dry legs, even when it rains. And then we got chatting and he told me about the magazine. And within a couple of weeks, he came in and he'd bought me a couple of magazines and I'd looked at it and it was, I'm quite a kid, I like to draw. I like drawing, tattoo art and stuff, as you can see, I'm coated in the damn things. But we got chatting and Craig contacted me a couple of years later and said, we're setting up, we're doing this, we're going to make a TV show, do you want to get involved? And obviously I was like, you know what, I'm not enjoying my job right now because I'd actually been made redundant from the camping shop and I'd been moved down to a menswear store, which I just didn't enjoy as much. I'm quite a hands-on person. Camping shop, I was putting tents up, I was fixing tent poles, getting to do stuff. When you're selling men's clothes, you're just selling men's clothes. And it was boring to me. I was a floor manager, I was just telling people what to do all day, which I do that now. I tell them all what to do and I keep them all in line. But I'm quite good at handling stress. I've always done guides and scouts and things. I used to take 35 odd kids camping for a week. Now, if that's not handling stress, I do not know what is. So went down, had a meeting with them, they told me about it. 3 weeks later, I quit my job and I've been with them ever since.
Amazing. And of course, last year when we met was really on the start.
Yes.
Tell us about the last, now I get the feeling this might be double the time we've just taken. Tell us about the last 12 months, because they've been a little bit quiet, haven't they?
Yes, we've been a little bit quiet. There's been obviously a few life things have got in the way of us this year, which is obviously always unfortunate. And obviously doing Harvey's race licence has set us back because everything went on hold because we've got to get Harvey this licence. We have got to get him to Silverstone. I have not seen another driver in that driver's brief that is at least 15, 20 years older than Harvey.
Amazing.
And obviously that is like fantastic for us because that perfectly proves the point we're trying to make, that we've got to get younger people into this environment, into this world with classics, because it is important, but especially for people like me. I grew up with my dad. My dad used to race a Mini Cooper S, and you know he had to bolt the engine mount to the back of the car because when he revved the car, the engine had hit the back of the car, stuff like that. And it's just, those skills are going to get lost because cars nowadays, it's electrical, and that's, you can't, an electrical race car, everyone has their opinions, but cars should have fuel in, they should make a loud noise, they should smell like oil, they should have grease all over them, and it should be the way that it was when they were racing back in the day.
I think firstly, it should smell of motor oil, let's make that clear.
Of course.
Yeah. Secondly, I think there's 2 points that I want to bring up yourself now, is that you're right, we're losing a generation here. We've got mechanics, and let's be fair, it's a certain generation.
Yes.
They've had the garage for many, many years, a lot of them, and their kids have gone into the... And then we're creating now electric vehicle engineers that don't have the mechanical skills. And I think what you're doing, and also in the industry at the moment, in the automotive industry, there's a massive push on the female percentage in the industry, the 30% club, women in automotive network. So I think you're quite a groundbreaker on too, and there's a few of you at the moment from your generation that are coming through. How do you feel you've got to, what's your agenda kind of within the industry? What do you feel you've got to do to take it forward? Because you have got to take it forward.
Yeah, no, of course. I think, in all honesty, I played football as a kid. 9 years I played football for. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't very good, hence why I don't do it now. But I used to get a lot of stick for being a woman that plays football when I was younger. But in especially the classic world of motorsport, nobody treats you any differently for the fact that you're female. And there's been the odd person, I like to call them rivet counters, that go, "Well, you work on the cars." Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but what I am is willing to learn. And that is what's missing, is the willingness of people. And obviously, I've met quite a few girls, women, that love this. In last year, the girl that was here, I can't remember what her name was, bless her, but she was absolutely lovely, and she was with her uncle, and her uncle was teaching her how to rebuild engines. The girl was 15 years old, and she had grit under her fingernails, and she was standing there in a pair of dirty jeans, and she just loved it. And I think the only reason there's not so many women that actually go forward and say it is because they still have this idea that being a woman in motorsport is taboo almost, and it's not. It's just not. And I think it's important for like Helen Stanley. I know for a fact she proper puts a push on stuff, and I've become quite good friends with Helen, and I'd love to do stuff with her in the future to push forward women in motorsport, especially women in classic motorsport and everything like that.
Yeah, it's not just motorsport, it's the whole automotive industry that we need to. At Garage Talk Online, we work very hard. We've got Vicky, who's behind the camera today, doesn't like being in front. But we also work with a lot of PR businesses, and we have to push the people that are doing a lot of the back end work that's not being seen. We have to push them in the limelight and say, we're a diverse industry. You've got to respect what male, female, whatever the gender is. We've got to respect what they're doing, because without either one, there's no industry.
Exactly. I must admit, the first time I sat and did anything like this was at the NEC show, and I think I was literally holding the microphone like this, because I'm not a social media user. I'm not someone who takes selfies and posts himself online. I never have been. But in especially the last 12 months, I've seen sort of the feedback from the pieces I have done that people have seen. And when I went to the NEC the beginning of this year, I had people come up to me and say, "You're Lucy from last year. Oh, well done. I'm really happy that you're doing what you did." And that gave me a reason to sort of go, you know what? I know I don't like the cameras. I know I don't like having microphones attached to me all the time. But what I do love is I love classic cars. I love racing, and I love learning how to build, fix, and deal with these classic cars. And if there's probably thousands of other girls just like me that won't do it because they're worried about the response and they're worried about what people are going to say. And I sort of learned to say, sod it, just do it. Someone has to stand up and say what needs saying. And I'm now at the point, over the last 12 months, with all the support from everybody, especially Motul. I know Motul's media team have been so supportive to me. It's gave me that push to go, you know what, actually, I may not be a mechanic, but I'm good at this. I can do this. I'm getting taught by professionals, which is the point. I'm taking on the skills, and actually now, when we do a race, I'm a crucial part of the team, which 12 months ago, I wouldn't have felt like I was, because I felt I'm the one that doesn't know anything. I'm the one that can't fix the car if it needs fixing. Yes, I can. I might need to ask a couple of questions, but yes, I can. And it's that push that people are missing, I feel.
Very powerful message there, and a very important message in a very crucial time for the whole industry.
Yes,
automotive, it needs that kind of message.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best. When are we going to see? Remember the business started as a show? We've seen none of the show yet. When is it coming out?
So we're aiming, I believe, for the end of this year, I think, is the plan. As I say, I don't like the cameras, so I kind of don't ask the questions. I get told what I need to know, and I do the job I need to do. That side, speak to Ethan. He likes to be the boss, bless him, with his army background. I let him think he is, but we all know who's really in charge of the team.
We do, Lucy.
But we do. We work so well together, and I know it has taken such a long time to get this filmed and get it out. But when you see it, you'll see why. And is all I shall say.
And the premise of the show, of course, is to restore cars.
Yes.
And you've been vital cog in that with the bodywork, especially.
Yes, the bodywork. I'd never touched filler, and then within 3 months I'd built 2, and I'd like to say completely symmetrical. Yes, we've measured them, and I was so proud of myself. And I know that Steve from HB Body he's literally just been like my god in all of this. And I now look at the bits of work that I've done and go, you know what, that looks good.
And you're very precious about your roofs, as we found out today.
Very precious about my roofs. If I've painted it and it's been polished, or Steve has painted it and it's been polished, if you touch it, it's your funeral. That's all I'll say.
We'll be around later. Vicky,
if I see handprints, I know who it was.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Much appreciated.